cool. I have to tell you, somebody that I cleared the house, her name was Becky. She sent that to you. This is what she does for a living, and she's very good at it. And so I didn't hear it till this morning because Ted had to figure out how so we could hear it. But yeah, perfect. I love it. And she says that it's public domain. Oh, thank you, Becky. And we should be able to do it without any problem. So that's great. That's great.
Yeah, and I was like, hey, I bet I could throw that in Premiere and take the picture, fade it out. And
Yeah.
So that's my 7 o'clock in the morning drinking coffee.
Waking up to that. Terrific. Great. Before I forget and we get started, everybody knows about the supermoon that we just had. And the next one, which is very unusual, is on May 26th, which is the next full moon. That's also a lunar eclipse. So from now until about a week after the 26th of May, if you've got anything earthbound in your house, you are certainly going to know it. That is going to give them so much energy. Just a heads up so that you know it's coming. And you want to talk about Antlers on Saturdays before we forget?
Yeah, so Antlers in downtown Lorraine from 12 to 3 is the event that we're all doing locally. So if you are within driving distance, please come join us. Antlers is it was like a restaurant, hotel, kind of in the rumor has it like some gangster, if you want to call that, if Lorraine really had any gangster activity. Who knows, right? I don't keep up with the mafia or the gangster.
I don't either. No.
It's got a speakeasy because I think those are just cool, the hidden rooms. I want a house with a hidden room and a hidden library.
No comment.
Right. So Marianne will give a lecture that she gives normally at her paid events, and then we will walk around in the common areas, and there's plenty of area to walk around, and it's huge. I almost got lost trying to find my way back into the ballroom after, following the manager at the time into all of the available places, and she took a phone call, had to duck off. I lost her, had no idea which hallway I was in, trying to get back. So plenty of room.
Just a little note, this is not for children. Nobody under 18, please, because if there's something that's a little risque that one of the ghosts say, I don't want to say it in front of children. So I want everybody to get everything that's being said, I want you to hear. And like I said, in front of kids, I will not do. So just, put that on your back burner so you know.
Right.
And the last thing is, I don't know if anybody knows this, but Monday, May 3rd is National Paranormal Day. Woohoo! Didn't even know that.
I didn't either.
Yeah. So, of course, I get a call from Channel 3, from a producer of the 5 o'clock news. And she says, oh, can't we do something so that we can air it on the news? It's like, sure. And so right after I'm done with this, around noon, I'm doing a Zoom with a lady that definitely has something in her house. And it's going to be interesting because those of you who have not been on Zoom, if you watch, well, I don't know how much you'll get out of it, but if you watch the news at 5 o'clock on Monday, you might see a little bit how it works. This is crazy. And I told the gal that we're doing this with, not the producer, but the gal whose house we're going to be at. I said, they told her we're going to Zoom for 45 minutes. They're going to knock that down to 3 minutes if we're lucky. So again, those of you that know what this is all about will understand it. Those that have no clue probably still won't understand it, but at least it will be on the news on Monday the 3rd at 5 o'clock.
So be sure to catch that later. And what channel again, in case we missed it?
Channel 3, WKYC.
Okay. And see, that's not one that I watch too often. So make note, guys. But then again, here lately, like I can't tell you the last time I watched the
I
news.
have to say the 5 o'clock news. If I'm going to watch news, it's usually, the 10 o'clock or 11. I don't really see early news that often. So unless
Yeah.
I'm looking for weather or something. Right.
Yeah. And now I just pull up the weather app because I have that WT forecast. And so it's sarcastically inappropriate about the forecast. And
Yeah, and you've got a phone that you can use. I don't. So I turn on TV. Right. But this is how stupid I am with the TV, is that Ted had jury duty and he left me all the remotes. I didn't know how to turn the TV on with the remote. So electronics, oh gosh, no good. So no good. So
right. Well, here is a question. How do people end up with portals?
okay. Portals are blown open by live people, not dead people. Something very negative had to happen in the space to blow open a portal. And they're always on an inside wall, never on an outside wall. Only 2 or 3 times that I can remember have they ever been in a floor. They're always, 99.9999 points, they're in, a wall. I've never seen one in a ceiling. The bad thing is any earthbound spirits that come out of a portal are really, really negative, bad people. They're not your sweet old lady ghost that walks in through the front door. These people have attitudes. They probably died in prison, suicides, murders, rapists, child pedophiles. The good thing, and there's always an upside to everything, the good thing is when they come out of a portal, they can't stay any longer than a day and a half, 2 days at the most, then they have to jump back up in the portal. The other thing is only one at a time can come out of a portal. So people that have like crazy stuff going on for a day or two, and then they start thinking, gosh, I must have a ghost. And then all of a sudden it gets real quiet and there's nothing. And it's like, oh no, it was just, biorhythms or something, who knows? And then it starts up again. So those are people that if you see a pattern of that, that usually means that there's a portal someplace. But that's how a portal gets started. And they literally have to be closed. You can smudge around them and that will stop anybody from coming out of the portal. However, that doesn't close the portal. All you're doing is putting a Band-Aid on it. So.
Well, guess who's back with us?
We have not that you don't deserve me. Oh, Wednesdays wouldn't be the same without you, Lewis.
No. I think you might have just as big of a fan base as Marianne on these Wednesday chats.
I believe that very much.
And where is it? Amy says that her sister tried to change the volume, ended up turning it off. So,
there you go. So I'm not the only one. That's good to know.
So maybe the question's more of, because of the circumstance, are they still able to visit? But it says, hello, I'm suffering from pain. I lost a man. He was the closest and I loved him, but he did not know that. He was in love with me and was my closest friend. So many regrets and grief. Could that be something that would keep an Earthbound or make somebody stay in Earthbound? Or
it could be, or if he thought that was unfinished business, that could be a reason for him to stay. Absolutely. But remember this, if you ever have a dream of him, it's a good dream, he looks good, he looks healthy, then he has crossed over. He is where he is supposed to be. He is not stuck. But again, if he thinks he has unfinished business, he could be sticking around. It's like people, and nowadays, years ago when somebody died, by the time the coroner got them and the undertaker got them, it was 2 days before there was a viewing. Then some of the viewings for sure were 2 days, some went 3 days. By the end of the viewings of that long, it was like, we got to get this over with. We're done. it's time for the burial. Nowadays, you die today, you're shown tomorrow, and you're buried the next day or cremated. I don't think people grieve long enough. And sometimes on that one day where there is the viewing or the memorial service, if they were cremated, they are still so sad and so much pain. You can't leave me. What am I going to do without you? Sometimes the grieving spouse or mother or father can actually keep somebody here where they let the light go. So it's something you have to think about. It's not like you won't see him again. You will.
So we're going to wrap back around to portals now because they're starting to pop in. Brad asks, how is it that portals only have like a limited time that these spirits are coming in and out?
Well, I don't know what that reason is, but say you have a portal in your house and somebody had just been there for 2 days and they pop back in. Oh my gosh, 30 seconds later, some other creepy guy comes out. So you can constantly have somebody in the house. It just wouldn't be the same one. This new one stays for 2 days and the original guy really could push your buttons. So he comes back. So it could be where you got them coming for the whole week or however long, but it doesn't usually go one right after another. It's usually one that gets a good hold on it and, keeps coming back in 2 days.
Did I keep having the same guy from prison?
In your store, you did. Yeah, he was the same one. Oh my gosh. Well, he knew with people that came into the store and the activity and the high energy and the good energy, they will be, they will go toward bad energy, but energy is energy. And just how many customers you come in that are oohing and out all of your stones and what you've got in the store, that look at the energy.
Yeah, he was a pain. Mimi asks, will the Quin Seeds affect the spirits that come through a portal? I have a few lying around in charms that I purchased from you.
Yes. And 9 times out of 10, if I talk to you on the phone or see you on Zoom, I can tell you if you've got a portal and where it is. And I have had people take a charm and tape it on the wall right there and where the portal is. And that did stop anybody from coming out of it 100%. Yes.
Let's see. Oh, and then Rhonda says that you closed a portal in her neighbor's house and the whole neighborhood vibe has improved.
Well, that's interesting, Rhonda, because when a earthbound spirit comes out of a portal, it seriously cannot leave the 4 walls of the house. Again, a regular ghost that comes in through the patio door, through the garage, or the front door, they can come and go. They can ride with you in the car. They can go any place you go, but not the ones out of a portal. They've got to stay in the 4 walls of the house. They can go in the attic. If you have an attached garage, they can go in there. Basement, they can go anywhere, but they can't go out of the 4 walls of the house.
Let's see. And you did mention how we have these super moons and all the fun things coming up. Lewis says there was a strawberry full moon thingy last night. I'm not sure what it means, but is there any power to having been a special full moon? Though every month there's like a name or 3 for
right.
every
Well,
month.
the one that we just had, I don't know what it's called across the pond, but here it was called a pink moon, and it's a super moon. And the next one is on the 26th of May. Those are the 2. I think there's only 2 this year. And actually that moon is called the flower moon. And the next moon also has a lunar eclipse, which means that if you've got anything going on in your house, if you've got any kind of ghosts in your house now, you are certainly going to know it. These ghosts are going to be ghosts on steroids for the next month. You're going to know you have a ghost in the house for sure. It's going to be interesting on Zoom because with that much energy, I wonder how much more information I'll be able to get from whoever has a ghost in their place. I'll be curious to see.
I'll do mine from the garage.
Yeah, right. See what you've got going on. Right.
Tammy says, I've had a recent dream that that had live and deceased family members interacting, and it was also in color. Is it normal to see live and dead together?
Yeah, dreams are absolutely. That is not unusual. And you may have actually, without realizing it, heard the deceased relative giving information to one of the live relatives that maybe you're supposed to pass on.
Ooh. Melanie asks, can a spirit follow me home from my quilting class?
Spirit can follow you from anywhere, Melanie. Quilting, any place. And being that quilting is categorized as an old-fashioned, thing to do. Actually, I had a house where there was a lady that was a quilter when she was alive in the 30s, and she was totally disgusted the way this woman was making a quilt because she sewed all the pieces together on a sewing machine, where she did it all by hand, and that ghost broke her sewing machine constantly so that she couldn't do it, in her opinion, the wrong way.
Well, la-di-da.
Yeah, exactly right.
And then there's those of us who wouldn't make a quilt if our life depended on it.
My mother-in-law made beautiful quilts, and she did sew the patches, the design on her sewing machine, but she quilted the whole thing by hand. She did not do that on the sewing machine.
I mean, my grandma in West Virginia makes quilts now, and she took up that hobby after moving there. And I'm like, that's because you live in the mountains and there's nothing else to do. So.
And my mother-in-law always did it in the wintertime because there are quilting frames that you can put up and they're easier to quilt because they're stretched out. But she didn't use that. She did it just by moving it across her lap. So it was too hot in the summer, but she did do it in the winter because it kept her nice and warm while she was quilting.
Well, I mean, might as well be doubly productive with it, right? Right. So Westies, with the cute little puppy doll picture. Thank you for the video on Dr. John. I'm going to keep the comments to myself. You don't know who's listening.
You never know who's listening. You're absolutely right.
Let's see. Oh, and Tara was with us on a last Zoom, and she was wondering if you remembered what the grandmother looked like. Absolutely understandable if you don't. She just forgot to ask.
I'm sorry. I do not remember. You jump from one little box to the next one, and it's like when I actually clear a house. When I walk out, I leave it. If I try to remember everything that was in somebody's house, I'd make myself crazy. So I just don't, and it's interesting because because of the YouTube that I do at 5:30 on Wednesdays, I ask for people to send me in what I did in their house so that I could, tell people how that went. And I'm getting all these letters, and it's like, gosh, when I start reading them, it sort of jogs my memory. But if you had asked me, I would never have picked it up. And today, by the way, the two are on a teenage addict and a real estate agent having trouble selling houses.
I wonder if she was trying to sell mine.
No.
Let's see. So we're going to do a question real quick about Little Folk and Birdseed, and then we'll get to Lewis. Let's see. So she's asked, I want to keep bird seeds in the place I live to feed the neighborhood birds, but I'm afraid that might mean I'll have a problem with the little folk. Should I be afraid?
I don't see them so much messing with bird feeders. If you're a person that just scatters them on the ground, yeah, that would be a problem. They're going to want to go for the whole stash. So just make sure that you have got them in a really tight, sealed can or garbage can or something, because the bigger ones are strong enough to open up something. So that's the only thing you have to be careful of. But no, if you do that, I think you'll be just fine.
So Lewis and Marie, these two questions kind of tie together. Marie asks, I think there's a spirit in my house and I'm going to awake today. Is it a good idea to invite him or her to come with me because there will be a light there? And then Lewis right after asks, do you see a lot of spirits in churches trying to get to heaven via the church or priest?
Yes, I have definitely seen spirits in churches. I've actually cleared churches. There was in one church, there was a cardinal or archbishop or somebody like that, Monsignor, somebody that didn't cross over. So but that's my ice maker. I should have turned it off. I totally forgot. It's like, doggone it. And so I actually got a blessing from a Monsignor that was dead. But yes, and don't talk to the spirit in your house before you go to the funeral today. Put a note on the table that says, come with me and you can go to the light. Or be telling somebody, don't say, who's ever here, come with me. Don't do that. But say there's another live person in the house. Say, we're going to go to the funeral in a little bit. I hope everybody can go to the light. And that will just give them the incentive to go with you if they want to cross over.
That's a big if kind of hanging there in space. So Whitney says, my friend and ex-partner of 8 years was 33 and died suddenly the other day. Is he still here? Will he be able to help me piece together the mystery surrounding what happened before his passing?
Whitney, if there has not been any kind of a funeral for him yet, that he probably still is here. Even if there has been a memorial service already and he wants somebody to know what happened to him, then he may stay. But if there is somebody that he was really, really close to that has died before him, if he was 33, if he was close to, his parents are probably still alive, but if he was close to a grandparent or another friend that died, somebody may try to convince him to go into the light. So from the question, I can't tell if somebody's there or not. You can come on Zoom and see if we can see somebody on that. But just from this question, I'm sorry, I can't tell you.
So Andrew asks, have you ever helped in a missing persons case? If so, could you tell a story about it? Or a time that you've helped law enforcement? And I'm sure that there's some legalities in some of that.
This is one of the reasons why I get asked so much by different law enforcement agencies, is because I do not talk about it. There's a missing person in whatever city that missing person is in or child is missing. You've got every psychic coming out of the rocks saying, oh, it's there, it's here, it's here. Because it's a call-in, they have to check, and usually, no, there's usually nothing to it. So I have never, ever called anybody to offer my services. If somebody wants to know if they've got something, you have to call me and ask me. The only thing is, keep this in mind, if it is a missing person and you call me and we're talking and you're describing to me what this person looks like, and I see that person standing behind you, that person's dead. So you got to make sure that if you call me, that if I have to give you that information, most people don't want to hear that. But so plus if somebody calls and says, would you please get in touch with the police in my city? No. You tell the police you want them to talk to me and they have to call you. Again, that would be just calling them up and offering my services, which I will not do.
So Charlene says, I live in an apartment and on the pink supermoon, my TV kept turning on and off on its own. So with what you said about the energies with the moon, could I have an apartment ghost roomie?
Oh my gosh, even without the super moon, you probably do because you live in an apartment. And apartments and condos, anything where there's a lot of families living under a common roof, there's all kinds of ghosts that come in and out. Nothing's going on in your unit, they'll go upstairs. Oh gosh, you're having a party, they're in with you. You're having a fight with your spouse, a lot of energy, they're coming back to your place. So yeah, you probably do. Anybody that lives in an apartment, just as a rule of thumb, it's like every time you wash the floor once a week, smudge your place, because that way, if somebody from upstairs or down the hall wants to come into your unit, it'll come through the door and go, whew, don't like the energy here, I'm leaving. So at least you will keep somebody out of your unit. But yeah, you probably do.
And it's a shame because those roomies never pay rent and they never do the dishes.
Or windows or iron, nothing.
It's almost like having another child living with you.
It's a mess.
So Sue asks if any of your children follow in your footsteps.
We have 2 girls, and our oldest daughter lives in California, and she does not have the ability, but she gets really good dreams, and she's got really good gut instincts. But the younger one, whose birthday it is today, as a matter of fact, she can do this. And on occasion, she will clear a place for, help me clear houses, especially if they're on the side of town where she lives. But she also keeps reminding me, Mom, I have a real job. So this is not something that she is going to ever follow in my footsteps, but she can do it. Not quite like me, but she can absolutely clear your house. And she has done a lot of houses. About 20 years ago, I was going through radiation and chemo and everything, and the calls were piling up. And I begged her, please, please, please. So she did a lot of houses in probably a 2 or 3 month period. And I still get calls from people that, Tara did my house years ago, but we moved. Is everything good in this house? So yeah, but Tara can do it. Absolutely.
Grudgingly.
Yeah, but she does. And she's in and out. I sit and talk and talk and talk. I'm in an hour. If you want to talk, I'm going to sit there and talk to you. But Tara's in and out. She doesn't mess around. It's like, faster I do it, the faster I'm done.
Let's see. So a follow-up question here. What are the signs of communicating with deceased loved ones? And this may be, you can only answer for the Earthbound side, not necessarily the mediumship side.
Right. And again, that would be seeing a medium that is really good at what they do, or dreams. You will see people or your pets that have, if they've crossed over, they will be in dreams, and you can talk to them when you see them in a dream. Well, not your animals, but you can definitely talk to people that have crossed over in dreams. But besides talking to somebody that has that ability to see ones that crossed over, I don't know how else to do it.
And let's see. Oh, and there was Tina says she loved the cookbook that you've put out.
I'll tell you, that cookbook, I've been asked to do another one, and there is no way on this great earth that I would ever do another cookbook. I did not know that when you have a published cookbook, every recipe in that book has to be tested in a licensed kitchen. These people, the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, the church that do these little cookbook things, they're free and clear, but not if it's published. And, I did stories from people in the 30s that put a pinch of this in or a dash of that. One was a lady that did something with a stove that had logs that burned in it. That's how she cooked. The editors, How hot do you think that stove was with the logs? What do I know? I have no idea how hot that would be. Or well, how much is the pinch? How much is the dash? Some of the recipes and the stories I just threw out because I couldn't figure them out. But it's interesting. Mother's Day is coming, and that's a pretty good gift for a mother for Mother's Day or grandma. Um, and people that don't like to cook, that's fine because every recipe there's a story that goes along with it. So people that just like ghost stories, there's a ghost story. But if you like to cook, there's a recipe. So it is a different book, and I can pretty much assure you, nobody else will ever do one like that.
We'll see. And Rebecca, Becky, it's so good. And we've done the event where the ghost walk, like what we're doing at Antlers, but before, we were at a restaurant and the food served was all of the recipes out of the cookbook. So you actually got to eat some of those recipes, and
some of them are really good too. I mean, some, not so much. There was a lady that I got a recipe from in a nursing home that gave me a recipe on how to make booze, believe it or not.
I think we need a whole new brewing book instead of a cookbook, maybe a little easier for the testing.
Yeah. I wouldn't have you around the day they tested that.
Brewfest.
Yeah, right. I'll try that again.
Right. I don't know. I need to sip that one again. It didn't linger like it should have. Let's see. Poor Lewis. I feel like I'm the one weirdo that experiences nothing. I've heard footsteps and whatnot, but I feel like the one loser with no cool stories to tell that happens consistently.
Lewis, you might be one of these people that just aren't aware of what's going on. I mean, I'm sure places that you've worked, I don't know a business, unless I've cleared it, anywhere that doesn't have ghosts in and out. So I'm sure any place that you've worked or any place or parties that you've been to or wherever you broke your hand at, I'm sure there were ghosts hanging around somewhere. And do we know for sure that the ghost didn't have anything to do with you breaking your hand?
Right. Well, and I mean, like I keep such a wall up that I don't notice, and I either have to try really, really, really hard to be aware or be so freaking tired that I feel like I'm hallucinating before I will actually see them.
You're a man, and men are more logical than women. I mean, women will, call uncle way faster than a guy will. And so that may have something to do with it also. You never know. But because I know in England, there are a lot of ghosts. They are there too.
And you could be subconsciously, like if you're at work and you have a lot going on, you're going to automatically filter the unimportant, out. We do it as parents all the damn time. But as soon as they get quiet, what are they doing?
Yeah. Well, so they could be talking and you're going, peeling the potatoes. Yep, you betcha. And all of a sudden she's outside playing. It's like, what are you doing outside? I didn't tell you to go. Yes, you did, Mom. When I was talking to you, I said, can I go out? And you said, you could be doing that.
Whoops. Let's see. Anna says, my brother passed away at 37 from an aortic aneurysm less than a year ago. We didn't know, and he didn't know he had issues. He left a wife and 2 young boys behind. Do spirits visit us? I miss my best friend every second of the day.
Yes. And again, you would be a person that would have to rely on a dream, or ask your sister-in-law if she has a dream of them. Have the kids, if they're 37, I don't know how old the kids are, but if their kids are old enough to come into the living room and say, Mommy, I saw Daddy in a dream last night, then you know he is where he is supposed to be. So young, that actually could be a reason to stay and not cross over, because he would be worried about his wife and his children. But if he did that, he's going to realize that if he hangs out in the house, that the kids are sick all the time with ear, nose, throat, and upper respiratories. His wife is moody, crabby, headaches. And your brother was probably a smart guy. And if he didn't cross over, he's going to realize he can't stay with them because he's making them sick. So what he may be doing is going through the house once or twice a week, buzzing through, see how everybody is, coming to your house, seeing how you're doing, going to other siblings' house or other relatives' house, but not staying in any one house any length of time. But again, if somebody's had a dream of him, and after it takes at least 6 months for somebody to have a first dream of somebody that's crossed over. It has happened earlier, but it's usually 6 months. And sometimes it can take up to 2 years. It's only been a year. So don't think because nobody has had a dream of him yet, if that's the case, that he hasn't crossed over. But that's a rough way to die. Of course, at least it was a quick death and not a painful death. So that's something that, is a little bit of a blessing.
Tina, excuse me, says, I clean a funeral home. Should I say out loud, no one is welcome to come home with me? Strange things have happened.
Interesting. The only time that an earthbound spirit goes into a funeral home is when there's a viewing of their body. I only know of 3 spirits that have died that actually watched their body be prepared. Who wants to see that? Nobody, whether you're alive or dead. So, and there are either funeral homes, it was the norm for the undertaker to live upstairs with the parlor on the first floor and the embalming and all the preparation in the basement. And so definitely, when things go on, it could be somebody just coming through, or the idea of a funeral home. Everybody just gets a really creepy idea of it. And Melissa can answer some of that too.
Currently live in an old funeral house.
That's right. And the ghosts that were in your house were actually not from the funeral parlor.
Mm-mm. Nope, just local people that had been in the town. Yeah. Jerks. Who they were. Well, one was the gossipy lady, and you came in and took care of the house like spring, summer. And so a few days after that, when the windows were open by my front porch where Rune would hang out, he kept coming. He's like, what? He's like, you keep calling me. And I'm like, nope. That would be that lady wanting to come back in.
Had the seeds up, and that didn't mean that she wasn't standing on the porch looking inside or trying to call in. Mm-hmm. And that happens frequently. Somebody will call and I'll say, yeah, you have 2 or 3 ghosts in the house. They'll have me come out. When I get there, there's only 2. The third one isn't there. I don't know how to call a ghost. So there's nothing I can do about it. I get rid of the 2 that are there. The protection goes up on the house. And guess what? The third one comes around. And all of a sudden it gets to the door and it is really angry that it can't get in because the Quin Seed is up. And they'll stand out there and bash on the door. I mean, you're watching TV and you got a dog. The dog will go off and you'll jump 2 feet in the air when you hear that banging at 11 o'clock at night. Open the door, nobody's there. They won't do it very often, but they will do that.
So 2 questions we can tie in together. The one question is, do animals have souls? And then Natalie asked if you see your Bashan on a daily basis, or does he kind of go off and do his thing and come back?
No, I do not see my Bashan every day. And I did worry about that because since he's died, we've lived in 4 different places. And I don't remember seeing him on the day that we moved from one house to another. So I was never sure, but he always showed up. And again, I have no idea where else he is. He may be visiting the girls because, the girls lived at home when he was alive. I mean, that's a possibility. I really don't know. And what was the other question? I forgot it.
If animals have souls.
Oh, I believe they do. Otherwise, I wouldn't be saying, my Bashan. Uh, I think I had a pygmy hedgehog when she died, when Pins died. I saw her little spirit. So I'm sure. And people do see and feel their pets that have crossed over. The most common one that I'll get is I know my dog is here because I can hear his toenails on the linoleum in the kitchen or the tile, which they could hear when he was alive. So, yeah, no, absolutely they do. I don't know if I'd go as far to say plants and trees. Of course, you're supposed to talk to your plants. I realize that. But I don't think I've ever seen, no, I know I've never seen a spirit of a flower or a tree. Nah, never.
And no dinosaur ghosts like
No,
that.
you asked me that. I don't ever remember seeing a dinosaur ghost, ever. I'm sure there had to be way back when, but maybe they reincarnated into an elephant or a rhinoceros or something. I don't know.
Yeah, my friend Nikki asked that. And I'm like, good point. I have never thought to ask that. And where are they?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know where they're at. I don't know. I was even at the La Brea tar pits in California. If you're going to have dinosaur ghosts anywhere, I would guess they would be there. And no, they weren't.
Interesting. So Karen says, I've gone with a paranormal research group a few times, and it seems that when I'm with them, nothing happens. Am I somehow blocking spirit? Because when she leaves the room is when the stuff happens.
Well, I don't know, because I don't know if the group that you go with actually knows that there is activity in that house, or are they going to that house to see if something is there? So I would have no way of knowing that. I wouldn't think you're blocking it if that's what you're trying to do because you want to see them. It would be one thing if, no, I'm going to close my eyes, I'm not going to look. But if you are trying to see or feel something or feel an energy, I would think you should. I wouldn't think that you are. And then your guardian angel may have other thoughts about the whole thing. I don't know.
Well, and this kind of ties in. Felicia asked, I've seen several ghosts in the past, but I haven't in a while. Is it possible to lose the ability? Or do I just not want to see them anymore because I'm scared?
Well, there's the word right there, scared. And you would be an example of somebody blocking it. If it scared you when you could see them, then you are blocking it and you do not want to see it now. That's, you got to be kidding me. My doorbell's ringing. Good, Ted, get it. It's like children. Children are really, really good at it. They can see all kinds of ghosts. They can see spirits that crossed over, spirits that haven't crossed over. But the older they get, they lose it because none of their friends talk about it. Mom and dad don't talk about it. And so they lose it. And adults can absolutely do that also.
Okay. Patricia asked if you've ever written a book about a demon or the demon, maybe the one that was in the garage who threw the thing at you, maybe.
That story of the really nasty one is in When Ghosts Speak. And that is also in Is Alive So Dead. Those two books, that same story is in with the pictures. But that's, I'm seeing that I've only seen 3 or 4 demons in my whole life. The book would be less than a comic book, believe me.
And then there he is. Lewis says we need to do a fashion guide, so everybody knows what to wear in the show.
When they die.
Yes.
There you go. Okay. Well, that could be something in the future. You never know what happens or what goes on.
Let's see. Yes, the cookbook is still available. Marion, I'm sure you've got it on your site. We have it in the store. It'll be available at Antlers as well.
Yep. It will. And if you already have the book, bring it and I'll sign it, or get it. And I don't think we have enough time, but if you give it as a gift and they want it autographed, if you send it to me, I'll autograph it and send it back. So, yep.
Let's see. Rhonda says, my mother and son, and they happen to live in separate places, had their necklaces with their Quin Seeds disappear. My mother woke up without hers. We've replaced the seeds. Was this done by a ghost or something else?
This was not done by a ghost. A ghost can't get within 3.5, 4 feet of the Quin Seeds. So, no. Now, the seeds do not stop any of the fairies or the spirits or the trolls or anything like that. They're not dead. They're just in from another dimension. So that's a possibility. But no, a ghost cannot take, they can't take them down off the doors. They can't remove them. They can't move them out of the glove box in your car. Nope. They cannot do that.
Lewis talking about me living at a funeral home is very on brand for this YouTube channel.
Of course. We know what we're doing.
Right. Happy accident, but
most of the time.
Let's see. Mr. Miyagi asks, what does a portal look like to you, and what method do you personally use to close one? Which I think that second question might be too long, and you used to teach whole workshops on that part.
I did teach people how to do it on their own. It's more of a feeling for me. I can sense where it is, and then if I put the palm of my hand over the area where I think it is, I can feel the vibrations on my hand. When I talk to people in their house trying to find a portal, like say, I think it's in the hallway where the bedrooms are. I will, while I'm on the phone with them, I will have them run their hands slowly over the wall. Do you feel cool air in one spot, and 3 inches over, it's warm air? Does your palm vibrate? Do you remember what it feels like with a vacuum cleaner that had a hose? If you put the hose on your hand, it would like suck your skin in. Does it feel like that? Does it feel like something is pushing it? When you put your hand somewhere, automatically do you get this headache, or does your stomach do a flip? Those are all signs of some way to look for it in your space. But that's pretty much, I don't see it because I have seen Earthbound spirits jump back in them. So I don't have to go look for it. I just watch where they jumped into the wall at, and I know exactly where it's at. But yeah, that's how I do it.
So Rhonda asks, does a roaming ghost know a house has a portal in it?
Yes. Sometimes I can get in for, like if I do somebody's house and they've got a portal, but they've got a regular earthbound spirit in the house too, and I go to the house, that regular earthbound spirit can tell me, oh my gosh, there was a terrible man here. He had this long beard and he had this orange jumpsuit on, and he was terrible. And when he was here, I didn't like him and I went next door. So yes, regular earth, they can see each other, but they don't get together at all.
So Bobby says, my best friend works in a personal care home and she gets sick as a dog. She walks outside and is fine. What can she do? Would a sea salt spritz help?
It would. If she wore a Quincy charm, that would definitely keep everything 3.5, 4 feet away from her, which is why most doctors and nurses have the seed on them all the time. Anybody that works in any kind of a nursing home, any setting like that, or retirement home, they should really have something on. She's lucky. Just walking outside makes her feel better. She should keep her fingers crossed that one doesn't get in the car with her and decide to follow her home, because that's pretty common. The sea salt, if she wears the same thing to work, if she wears a smock or whatever, when she washes it, in the final rinse, throw in some sea salt, and at least it'll be in her clothes, or get a misting bottle and put some sea salt in it and water and shake it and mist the doorway and walk through it before you go outside. That'll put like a little barrier around you. But nothing works as well as the quince seed. That is 100%. That will definitely keep them away. That's why a lot of doctors and nurses and sports players, all the ball team players, most of them have their quince seed in their tooth, because they don't have to worry about it.
So back to the dinosaur ghosts. Sandy says they reverted to chickens.
There you go. I'll go along with that.
And Quinn says, I heard the dinos are now the bird spirits.
Well, you guys have more information than me.
So this one might be more of a dream interpretation than actual earthbound spirit. What does it mean when you have a spirit chasing a young child and in a dream, and you protect her from the spirit, that you can see half of it, the bottom half was a mist. So I'm guessing you were seeing from the top up. And the crystal vibrated so strong that you can still feel it when you wake up. So was the crystal in the dream? Were you holding one?
This is, just keep this in mind. Earthbound spirits cannot get into dreams. They cannot. So, are you just truly having a regular dream with this in it? Did you have Chinese food before you went to bed that night, and that's what's giving you a weird dream? I don't know, but it sounds like the spirit that you're referring to sounds like it could be an earthbound one, which means it really wasn't in your dream.
Okay, so the quince seed, how does it work? When a spirit gets near one, is it almost like they hit a wall and can't get near, or does it push it back?
From the few earthbound spirits that I've asked that have tried to get in, say it's almost like what's that kind of wire they put around a pasture to keep horses in?
Oh, like a
electric wire, right? Or it just makes them feel so bad that it almost totally drains their energy, which they don't want. It affects them all a little bit different, but they can't, like I said, I'm 100% no, they cannot get close to them. Absolutely not.
So Jazz asked, my kids are so hypersensitive. I have 2 girls, 9 and 5. How can I encourage their gift? Their abilities blow mine out of the water.
Listen to them. When they want to talk about it. Don't ever laugh at them. Don't ever say, no, that's ridiculous. You can't do that. But the biggest thing that you should never do is you bring up the subject. Don't have the older one walk in the room and go, gee, while you were in there, did you see anybody? Did you see a ghost? What did you see? Don't do that, because they'll shut down if you do that. Plus the fact that sometimes you give kids an inch, they're going to take a mile. And so again, when they bring it up to you, that's when you talk to them about it. And don't discourage them, and just listen to what they have to say.
So in regards to dreams, Karen has a hard time remembering her dreams. What can she do to start remembering them?
Okay, there's an herb called mugwort, Mugwort, and you can put it in a little pouch. I sell these. There's other things in here besides the mugwort that help promote sleep, that if you have insomnia, there's also a quin seed in here. So that if you happen to have a ghost in your house, that the ghost won't be around you when you're sleeping, because a ghost in a bedroom can also make it where you don't have your dreams, or if you do, they're technicolor, they're like loud, banging, booming, they're unnerving. But that would be my guess. Try using the mugwort, or the other thing is keep a paper and pencil next to your bed, or a pen, and have a little, or maybe a little tape recorder. And if you have to go to the bathroom, whatever the last thing is in the middle of the night, write that down. I think the tape recorder is easier. Even if you just say a word, sometimes when you listen to it in the morning, that will bring enough to bring back the dream. But keep this in mind also. If you work weird shifts, then it's very hard to remember your dreams because you're not on a schedule. Some medications retard dreams. So that could be another reason why some people can't remember their dreams, because of a med that they're on.
So Angela says, I have a 5-year-old that talks about having invisible sisters and friends. Sometimes they wake her up in the middle of the night. Sometimes they are nice, and sometimes they are mean. Don't know if it's a little girl with one heck of an imagination or if she has spirits with her. Sometimes it's raising an eyebrow.
I would believe her. I would definitely believe her. And 5 years old, oh gosh, she's the perfect age for this. I don't like that she gets scared sometimes though. And if that happens, if she's scared on a regular basis, not once a month, but maybe twice a week, even once a week, I maybe would start smudging her bedroom, so that that will take away the good ones too, the ones that don't scare her, but they're still earthbound. If they weren't earthbound, the smudging wouldn't bother them. So, but you don't want the bad one to be around her. You don't want her to be afraid where she ends up in bed with you every night at 2 o'clock in the morning. So, but I would smudge, because I don't like to see kids or animals messed with. It makes me crazy.
So let's see. Oh, Lewis is asking if my son has abilities. When he was younger, he did. And I think he still does, but he's very good at blocking out everything. At one point he would sit there and play with the card deck, and he could tell you red and black, red and black, red and black, red and black, and be right. And he was getting down to the suit color. And I'm like, I'm taking you to the casino, kid. And at one point he was very hyper focused on card tricks. And I'm like, dude, who cares? Just go out there and psychically predict all of these cards to your friends, regardless of how they shuffle it. And you don't have to memorize these tricks. And he has heard and seen, and but he would keep a lot of that to himself. I would have to notice the change in behavior. Like when my kid would go from sleeping all over the bed, half hanging out and half off the bed, to he's wrapped up like a burrito and everything's over his face. I'm like, like, buddy, are you okay? And he's like, yeah.
That's usually a dead giveaway. If they're under the covers and they have the blanket over, oh no, there's something that they're afraid of or they don't want to see. Or they will never sleep with their leg out or their foot out, because you never know what's under the bed that's going to grab you.
Right. Especially if, you're a parent that you don't let them watch scary movies to kind of scare them anyway, but all of a sudden their sleeping is changing. That's a good sign.
And it's gotten worse with computers and the phones and whatever it is that's on TV now. I mean, kids are bombarded by this now. You've got a 4-year-old that comes into the room and says to her mother, there's a ghost in my room. How would a 4-year-old know that? I mean, so I sometimes I think people parents need to be a little bit more aware of what their kids are seeing. And I really get a rash of these calls about their kids right after or 2 weeks before and about a month after Halloween
Mm,
because of all the costumes.
yeah.
I mean, these are little kids. Think about it. And, not everybody wants to go as Mary Poppins or, an angel. So there's scary ones out there. Just look at the masks that they sell, full face masks.
Well, and I had the kid that always had to come up with something that I had to make, like Slender Man, a zombie garden gnome, Ahmed the Dead Terrorist. And like, could you please just pick something like Batman that I can just go buy? Back? My kid. So, because we're already at the hour, Loretta, and I can't find it in all of the comments, because thank you guys for being so willing to participate today. She asked about shadow people, if they're real, and maybe what the difference between them would be.
Okay, shadow people, that is the name that people have given to earthbound spirits. And sometimes, depending on the energy that spirit has, is how you are going to see them. Sometimes people see a mist. Sometimes people see a little tornado or a little cloud or a person or half a person or a person with no face. And a shadow person definitely can be one of those. And just because you see a shadow person and it's all black because it's a shadow does not mean it's a demon or the devil. That is just how you're seeing it. So, as I like to say, Zorro was all in black and he was a good guy. So, not everything that's all in black is bad.
Right. And a quick answer, no, selenite and black tourmaline are not going to counter affect a dream bag. If anything, it might help it work a little better because it keeps the space clear, easier sleeping. So, question about whether or not the Zoom is full for this month. It is not. It is Monday, the 17th. So here is the address to go sign up for. Please, 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 2 things. You type your email address in there correctly, because as soon as you pay, you get the confirmation of, hey, you gave us money for this event, and here is your Zoom link to come in. If you don't get that Zoom link, probably because the email's been mistyped. And secondly, be aware of a time change. If you are in a different state and you are out of the Eastern Standard Time, you do need to account for the time change. This happens at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. We do go until everybody has their turn to ask their questions. But if you start logging on and it's 10 o'clock and we're leaving, we're out. Everybody will get to ask their questions. If you leave before you ask, that's kind of on you, is what it is. But yeah, we limit it to 30 participants. So only 32 people will be there, Marianne, myself, and the 30. It's not live like this to where other people can go back and listen. Nobody's going to know what's going on in your house except for those that are in that live. Let's see, we have the Antlers coming up this Saturday. So if you're into live ghost events and you want Marianne to help kind of say, look over there, which is what we've done, like at Lorraine Palace Theater, at the Sturks in Oberlin. And people got really good pictures because they knew where to point the camera.
Glad you brought that up. If you want to take pictures, you are better off bringing a film camera, not digital. You're going to catch a better picture of an earthbound spirit on a film camera without flash. So if you have a camera that you can turn the flash off, or you can buy film for the highest speed film, black and white works best. I don't know if some of that is even made anymore, but those disposable cameras that you can get at the drugstore, those actually can take a pretty good picture. Tell you where they're at, you can aim your camera in that direction and take the picture. And so definitely, if that's what you want to try to do. I mean, I'm not saying don't try your cell phone or, a digital camera, but you're going to get digital cameras and cell phones are really good about picking up orbs. They're better than a film camera picking up orbs. But as far as the spirit goes, a film camera is definitely much better. And I forgot because it was canceled because was in the hospital. But for those of you that are coast to coast fans, I will be on May 26th, which should be very interesting with the supermoon and the eclipse. So I'm sure most of those people will have some really unique things to ask me.
All right. Well, Lewis, guess what, buddy? Patricia's giving you her Zoom link. So, if Marianne, your game, I need to cancel, and I think it was supposed to be Zoom. You can give it to Lewis.
Oh, I would love to see you on Zoom, Lewis. Please, absolutely. Come on. My gosh, look how many people would like to see you. Besides Melissa and me, 29 other people. So
great. Yeah, I'm telling you, you got a fan club. And then in June, if you can't make it this Monday, in June, we will be at the Merry-Go-Round Museum in Sandusky. That one creeps me out more than Antlers Hotel, and not because of the dead people. It's because of the dead horses on sticks. They are creepy looking. So feel free to join us in Sandusky at the Merry-Go-Round Museum.
And that one, and I'm again sorry, thinking of this carousel and horses and merry-go-rounds. No children for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have any other last minute on our way out?
No, if you want to catch the news on Channel 3 at 5 o'clock and see what that's about, like I said, they're going to knock it down to about 3 minutes. So those of you that know will know. Those of you that don't have a clue will go, what is she talking about? But that's the way it goes.
You got to love editing, Oh, and Loretta says she loves these Wednesdays. Well, thanks for joining us, Loretta. She's a local, one of my good customers. So yeah, we do this every Wednesday, 10 a.m. There's only been a handful of times where we didn't show up. So we're usually pretty good at attending. But hey, Divine. Woohoo. She'll have to get you to sign in again. You need to hook us up in your library, and we'll just bring all the things to your library. I will road trip for a ghost walk, for the library.
Well, I think we've got somebody coming in from, I believe it's Minnesota. She talked about maybe coming into the carousel.
Oh.
And don't we have somebody coming in from New York to the carousel?
Probably. It's been a minute since I've looked at the area codes.
Yeah, but he may be coming, and I believe there's somebody in Michigan that is coming into the carousel too. And the weather, there won't be any snow. Yay! So it should be okay.
Fun times. I've got to start calling places again now that things are opening up. And
we still have to do that train walk.
Yeah, they're in my own hometown. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that should be good.
Yeah, that will be an outdoor one. So we start doing anti-rain dances and everything else about a month out, and making.
But I'll watch you.
And
me.
I'll make the boy do it and make him earn his keep and his rent. Oh, Lewis, we'll send you coffee.
Oh, good night. Thanks, everybody. Have a good week. We'll see you next Wednesday.
All right, guys. Bye.